Creating long-term financial goals is a life goal that a lot of people find very difficult to achieve, and of course how to set goals and achieve financial success is also a very important part of financial knowledge, and staying on top of your game when it comes to managing your finances and your money and all that. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, this morning, on personal finance with Mr. Charles Fakroha. Good morning.
Good morning, Uche, and of course, good morning, Josh. Okay, thank you for having me on set today. It's a pleasure.
Please, let's delve into it already.
Yes, well, let's congratulate our Muslim brothers and
Okay.
sisters. They just after their celebration, and we hope that the lessons from that fasting, Ramadan, and all that, they will carry it to their day-to-day activities. But today we're looking at one aspect of finance, which is how to create long-term financial plan, and at the same time have financial success. You know how to set your goals so that you have financial success. But we must also note that financial success is not only about success in your finances. Other aspects of your life is also very important. But one thing we have realized is if you can achieve financial success as you take care of your finances, you will notice that other aspects of your life will be taken care of also. One of the issues as a marriage counselor, by God's grace, the problem we see marriage couples have is finance. Then of course we'll not talk of communication and not being open to each other. But finance is a core issue. So if they're able to take care of that finance, you will see that other aspects of their lives will fall into place. So we're now saying today, how do you achieve this financial success? By setting financial goals. The first thing you need to do is to assess your current financial situation. That is, you need to know your assets, you need to know your liabilities. You just need to know them. But some persons will buy liability and they say they are buying assets. By definition of an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, while liability is something that takes money away from your pocket. Now, somebody will tell me, my personal car is my personal asset. But if you look at it on a day-to-day basis, that car takes money away from you. So the very first day, whether it is tear rubber or brand new as they call it, once it leaves the showroom, it has become a liability to you, because you need to fuel it, you need to service it. So in achieving long-term financial success, you need to understand your current financial situation, your assets and your liability. And of course, we encourage couples to do it together. Set a time where both of you can list the assets that you have and of course look at your liabilities. Then once you're able to assess or itemize your asset, your liability, then you can now calculate your net worth, because your net worth is simply your assets less your liabilities. Now once you do that, the first step. The second step is for you to now define your financial goals clearly. It's not, I want to have 1 million naira in my account. You have to be specific. And that's why we say you set SMART goals. The date must be specific. If not, it's not a goal. It might just be a wish. Like for our Muslim folks now, you might say, for next Ramadan, I want to have 500,000 naira in my account. We want to save it so that we can do a lot of zakat, as what they call it, a lot of charity when it comes to the next Ramadan. You must be specific as to the amount of money and to the time, the deadline you want that money to be in your account. That is a SMART goal. The third step you have to look at is you now need to create a realistic budget. Some people don't call it budgeting, they say planned spending. A realistic planned spending. That is a budget that will work. The budget for couple A might not work for couple B. It is specific to each family or each individual. You can't say this is one of the things you do most of the time. But because you have seen somebody else's budget they are not doing those things. You now want to apply it, it will not work. Every individual have their own weaknesses. And when we tell people in marriage classes, when it comes to their finances, understand your spouse's weak points or weaknesses and begin to see how two of you can that jointly look at it gradually. The man smokes a lot and you are telling him just stop smoking. It's not possible. It has to be a gradual withdrawal. He goes to club every day. You can't tell him to stop going to club, but it has to be a gradual process. So you need to create a realistic budget. The next step.
Before you digress, you know, I just want you to quickly nip in the bud, you know, a particular issue that I want to raise, because as much as possible, I understand and I share your thought with what is asset and of course what is a liability. But then, don't you think one would also be confused somewhat when you talk about, okay, I live on the island, I live on the mainland, and I work on the island.
Yes.
And I've got to transport myself from home to work.
Yes.
Buying a car, for instance, as much as possible is a liability. But of course, isn't that also a need? Knowing fully well that it might not be easy. Sometimes if you have to leave home as early as 4 or 5, depending on where you live on the mainland, to be able to meet up your work. So how do you see that as a liability?
Because it's a liability, you don't need it. Like you have, it's a need. It's a need. You need it. The thing there is for you to manage that aspect of your spending. That is why you have to create a budget and stick to it. And of course, if I should go further, you need to build an emergency fund. Your car can just have an issue. You don't even plan for it. It will affect your budget.
True.
But one of the steps that you need to undertake to achieve financial success is having build an emergency fund. Something can just happen. It could just be COVID. It could just be flooding. So as part of achieving financial success is building an emergency fund. And we have advice here between 3 to 6 months. Probably 6 months of your normal living expenses should be in a separate, apart from your savings account. In case of emergency, you go to that fund and draw. Disaster, emergency can happen anytime. So, and that when it happens, that's not the time you need to now go to your savings account. No, we must plan for emergency, just like in insurance. So, you now, after you have created your emergency fund, you now need to develop a savings and investment strategy. Because if with only savings, how many percentage will you get? So you need to have an investment strategy. Talk to your stockbroker, see the kind of investment you can make that does not or is aligned with your own values and principles. It's very, very important.
We're really pressed for time, Mr. Charles. I'm wishing that we can continue having this conversation. But I think, you know, the investment part of it is a good place to hold it for today. And then we can continue the next time we have you on the show. Thank you so much for dropping by the studio this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You heard it from the experts. It's not just enough to save. You need to also invest, because that's how you get returns on your money. Keep that in mind while you go about the rest of your day today. But then we're still not done here on iBrandTV Daybreak. When we return, we will be taking you straight into the streets of social media to find out what has been trending. Do not go anywhere. Stay with us.